I like the pick. I'm a fan.
It's you gotta very carefully ride that line though, because you gotta switch from farm mode into fight mode. I'm saying switch. You gotta flip that switch. You need to do it at once, because otherwise this Medusa is still like, she likes the long fights too, you know. And just because your chemical rage duration got increased doesn't mean that you're not going to be scottied up and slowed the whole time. You're still a melee hero versus this be all to end all anti melee carry.
Yep, very true.
So yes, I like it as well, especially with the Wisp. But Alpha, I've got to show here that they got what it takes to actually finish out a game first.
Early ward placed by Happy Seals. Seems like Rises is not going to make any risky moves here. Of course, the Alchemist days of taking Grievel's Greed level 1 and hoping and praying that one of the 2 runes that spawns at the start of the game is a bounty. Those have long passed. But it's still a little bit of extra bonus gold, which towards the start of a game can mean, you know, some more stats in lane, which goes a long way, I would say. Sec, Dolts.
Always does.
Dolts Chi.
Is that a dog or a door? Or like
this is the hardest captcha I've ever done. Dog or door? I'll tell you what, Kips. I had to do a captcha yesterday to log on to a service, and it asked me select boats from the following, and it showed me 8 pictures of seaplanes, and I went, "What are you doing? What are you trying to?"
You will make a nice snow angel.
Try to troll me here?
Oh.
Snow angel.
Well, I can see why the AI is confused about that and needs a little help.
Yeah, I needed help too. I was trying to log on to my online service, very quickly clicking through pictures to prove I'm not a robot, and I got hit with an existential crisis. Wasn't ready for that.
You know, that seaplanes thing sounds like one of the topics that Sunsfan and Cinero would suddenly go into. Are they boats?
Are they boats?
I would like to...
Can they not ride the waves, Kips?
Yeah. And they float, right?
Does it
passengers?
Does it not displace water according to Archimedes' principle?
Yeah, exactly. Buoyancy. Buoyancy galore.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Runes 2 for 2. Nothing too exciting, nothing too crazy here. Arise is not committing a skill point either, so he's not going to benefit or lose out as a result. As, oh no, Pingu is going to be very disappointed here to find himself in a barren wasteland of a top lane, as it's going to be, you know, Coiling Blade early for the bottom to make life as difficult as possible for him.
And access for that Beastmaster as well. Not as good at killing off the trees as it used to be, but you know, it's worth an investment if that means that Pingu is slogging around like he's in a swamp right now.
That's that's a weird level 1 to take here, but it might end up getting them a kill. Not quite. But it is a lot of early harass. Pingu, though, tanking the wave. Tanky hero here at level 1, but how tanky can he be? Well, at least he's going to dodge that one arrow. That'll at least get him out of this engagement. So he looks to potentially turn. He did start off with an Orb of Venom, so he really wants to go for these early kind of trades. But it is going to mean that Alchemist takes Unstable Concoction at level 1. He's going to go for another one here. And this one onto Tiv is going to be almost max charge, a little bit of Nature's Grasp. And that's first blood for Rises, so it pays off here.
And nicely done. Nature's Grasp, as it turns out, quite good range. So, you know, even if you keep the Treant out of your way,
yeah, and I suppose you're really just looking, at least for now, you're looking to just do the damage, at least get the slow, not so much the damage at level 1, as there's 2 kills very easy. I mean, Happy Seal's not respecting the kill potential of this lane. It is not weak by any means. They've seen this combo now 3 times, and twice they've been caught out by it already.
Yep. Armada, no leap charges yet. I presume that that's going to be the pickup for the level 2 now.
More mana for Axis at the very least for the Beastmaster, who starts off with the early Ring of Bazzi, as Pingu finds himself even less trees to play around now.
Well, they're coming back. They're coming back. They're going to need to do some more chopping.
That's right. 3 minutes on these bad boys. Or good boys, really. Tib in trouble, though, as they will slow a bit more, but the Axes starting to really stack up now on Rises. Up to 6 here. Got to be careful. Even though it is level 1, I'm getting flashbacks to the Beastmaster Ags days. Remember that patch? Like the 3 days when it was completely broken? Good times.
Yeah, like it immediate didn't the damage like immediately get halved or something, and then people still built it.
It was
Still
ridiculous.
flipping good. It was,
You knew that ability was OP when people had to pick Rubik against it. It was the only solution. Tib is going to at least outrun this unstable concoction, and a Toof more or less immune to this now, as with the leap charges even might have kited out Pingu, finding himself weakened to the axes, and is going to die there as a Toof secures the kill versus the Treant's Protector.
with all this fighting, they're barely getting to actually hitting creeps, which is fine by the Alchemist, I guess, because he doesn't even have Greevil's Greed yet. And yeah, let's look at the mid lane before we before we get dragged back to top. Yeah, I mean, this mid lane not really dangerous for either of them. Like the Lesh has a bunch of nice push here, but the Pangolier does the same and can always immediately cross out to distance again, unless he somehow gets stunned. He is not at risk of dying here, though the Lesh is once the Pango hits level 6.
Yep.
You might see support rotations for that.
Mid lane Pango, as compared to side lane Pango, certainly is going to benefit from the tight terrain in the mid lane in order to get those heroes into the pinball zone. In the side lanes, you're more or less forced to try and find an engagement kind of around these crystals here, you know, drawing the one next to the Radiance camp, or along the walls of the
You
map.
can draw again.
Yeah, well, I can't draw on the map. I can draw, like, on the ground, but I always like drawing on the mini-map. Which, again, please fix. Valve. It's okay. I'll add it to the...
you can go to the GitHub now.
I'm going to add it to the GitHub. It's going to go on the Stack Overflow. And let's talk about this bottom lane a little bit with Monster and Wisp. Again, taking a look at our very, very weak Crystal Maiden for Salicious Sea Lion. Salicious Sea Lion. Oh, just kidding. We can't look away from top kips because the action is it's fast.
Boom.
And Rises is going to go
Right
down. That should be a Tooth as well. Falling. He's got himself an Urn charge, but Pingu back in the trees, no longer slowed by the Boar Poison. Should be able to at least cancel the Urn. Will he get the kill here? Almost certainly yes, especially with now the Nature's Grass coming out. Pingu, though, blocked and slowed again by the Boar Poison. And it seems actually like Morano's going to make it out alive.
Nope. That Boar, man, making all the difference.
That's only a level 1 Boar as well with the Poison. Coming in handy there versus the Treant Protector, who without trees doesn't move that fast.
He definitely does not. Yeah, top lane wanted our attention so badly that I couldn't even talk about the level 3 Medusa, level 2 Snake against the Mars, normally turning point in this lane, but with an IO, not nearly as impactful, though the IO itself, of course, also does not like the Snake bounding on it. But together with these two bracers plus the infused raindrops over on the Mars, he's going to get through this just fine. And this is where the Medusa would normally start, you know, breathing safely, and instead she's getting engaged upon.
She is, yeah. And just to kind of show you the change that this overcharge kind of had, especially in this game where Wisp doesn't have, at least early on, a fantastic tether partner. To take advantage of overgrowth, that is, right? Or overcharge, pardon. He's got 2 points in tether already. So he just wants to maximize the staying power here of Monster, who, again, with the infused raindrops and the double bracer build that is oh so common these days, is having no troubles so far. A hero that can also benefit here, though, from the tether is certainly Soul, as he will string together a kill onto the Maiden. Pots and Pangs bouncing around as Vol is going to bounce and pick up the kill there onto Pingu. Not a problem. Just having to, you know, incorporate the sounds of the environment, right?
Yeah. I'm glad we don't have roosters crowing anymore. We did away with those because they were too noisy. But yeah, it's a farm. Things fall over sometimes.
Things fall over sometimes. You know, sometimes you hear a reindeer on the roof in Christmas time. In summertime, you hear them in the kitchen. It's you know, it is what it is.
Mooing merrily. I again advise you to have reindeer sirloin if you can ever get it. It's a lot better than sweet and sour moose.
I will put that one on my list. For now, lots of stacks going on. They're trying to find themselves a number of creeps. Pingu failing to double stack there. A bit difficult there with the Nature's Grasp. But Rise is continuing to farm away, finally up to level 6, as the Axes will not scout him nor interrupt his farming by much. Pingu as well, getting off a couple of stacks. Could be for the Lesh, most likely for the Lesh. Could also go the way, pardon me, most likely for the Alk is what I meant to say. Could go the way of the Lesh if they so decide. As there's Rises killing a Hawk even for his trouble. I am kind of curious though.
All cats?
It just feels like this Alchemist here, I think we've had this conversation before, he's just been kind of getting more nerfed as the jungle gets buffed and buffed and buffed, and as neutral items have come out. Do you think he's still in a strong enough place, or is he just still this? Is he viable as a niche pick these days, or do you think the jungle nerfs are still a bit too much to keep him down? Jungle boss.
Well, you can see right there, for example, the Morana actually arrowing the tomato creep, and the Alk immediately just having to back off because he can't take that stack anymore while they're all angry.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely extra rumble in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, even just
I
arrow
was
now
expecting the Alk to
insta-killing
come out.
creeps, which wasn't always a thing.
Radiant are scanning.
That's flipped back and forth a couple of times, hasn't it?
It has. And for now, Rises at least he's going to find himself slightly annoyed there. Soul unable to really push this mid wave too hard. Now has 3 points in the Edict. Normally this is something I really like to focus on, is the skill build of Alesh as monster kills are creeping the bottom lane with the Arena of Blood. But yeah, nothing really quite there. And Kips, this is not really the build I thought it would be from Pingu, by the way. We were thinking, is it going to be the Nature's Grasp or the Living Armor build? It seems to be now Living Armor with the 5th skill point, having put that now into the armor. But it was 1-2-1. So just really wanting to be this lane-dominating Treant was kind of at least Pingu's idea early.
Very, very brawly. I guess very sustaining here as well if you have a melee versus melee matchup there, and you're not going to be ferrying salves to your alchemist anymore. I guess he gets the most regen out of that.
Big stack being taken now by Soul. Very eager to check the post-game stats here and see exactly how many camps were stacked, because this is already a triple stack of Ancients being taken, and I've seen at least 4 other stacks already. So this is going to be one for you know, the jungle enthusiasts out there. As I think they're going to finish farming this right away, and this is, in my opinion, kind of a poorly timed smoke gank.
Yeah,
I think you're not likely to find anyone kind of this late into the minute farming the camps, you know? Best case,
Yeah.
I think.
If they did it at the start of the minute.
Exactly. Best case, you're going to find a support stacking, which is not really worth smoking into the triangle, especially when the tier 1s are still up. I'm not sure.
Well,
It just
if you want to
feels
take him yourself,
true. That's true. It just felt slightly inefficient, I would say, considering you're up against an elk. You know, you want to try and kill the elk. And in fact, they're going to go right in and do that in the mid lane. Kip says right away they will go, but they just slightly lack the damage. Ooh, just barely not getting enough there on that last little swashbuckle monster. Trying to erect the arena, which Morana will and still apparently can jump over. I'm not really sure if that was intended, or perhaps the walls weren't up in time.
yeah, I think it's a walls not up in time kind of thing, because you shouldn't be able to do it anymore after it is out. But I guess it works similar to Disruptor Static Field. And if you are just in time.
Tib, speaking of time, it's time for him to begin pushing. He is pushing against this level 2 overgrowth now, which again has gotten changed a little bit, so its duration is a lot longer now, especially compared to the cooldown. But as far as for towers, it's still pretty decent. Rises is looking to potentially farm up yet another creep wave as he dispatches the wagon at the very least. So doing a good job of creating his own space to be farming, because so far Soul as well on this Leshrac is very much also in farm mode.
Yeah, and this is if you would have asked me, like, hey, who's going to be actually taking those stacks? Like, it was going to be the Leshrac, because he's going to be the one doing the tempo making while the Alk hits his proper farming item timing. And is that a Radiance I spy? That sure looks to be a Radiance on Rises.
This is the build I've seen as well in pubs. But of course, I only play 4K pubs, and this is much higher rated than that. And that's the relic already on the way.
2.5.
So you know, 20 minutes earlier than my Alk finishes his relic. Tib, okay, he's going to cancel the overgrowth, but the reload, I think, is still coming in. They were expecting Tib to run the other way. Now, under the cover of the Moonlight Shadow, he's not going to be able to escape. In fact, Spear still catches him. They've got vision on him. As he's dusted up, and they will be able to pick up the kill, canceling the push, bringing back Lesh as well, not missing out on any creep waves. Pure efficiency right now from Alpha.
Well, Treant's going to get caught on the backside here, but they're going to have to dive very deep for him, and the tower is already healed.
Yes, it is.
At the very least, this maiden is dead.
Yes, I believe she is. She dies just about a couple of hits and one auto attack. Sorry, one bonk from the Mars make it.
Oh?
Vol is gonna go for a roll onto Soul. He will go. Do they have enough damage? Only time will know, and it's gonna be enough.
No diffusal yet for that Pangolier.
Oh, it was on the way,
Here it is. Yeah.
That just struck me as a little bit of impatience.
Exactly, but he had a haste. He had a haste going.
Perhaps too hasty.
Top tower has fallen.
I'm not even going to say anything about that. Instead, I'm just going to talk about how the presence of this IO Leshrac makes pushing so scary for all of these heroes that actually need to hug your tower in order to come in. Because, you know, there's a Mart with a Blink Dagger. He rushed that. No BKBs here because he can always create an engagement that the damage will then come into, especially summoned across the map just for him. And yeah, look at how this Beastmaster just runs back at any sign of resistance.
Oh, there's a bit of resistance coming his way now. Monster with the Blink Dagger revealing it here onto him. He provides much resistance here to the wall that he finds as he spinned to it and finished off there by Monster. Great pick off there, and in fact, tier 2 kind of being dove. Arrow's at least going to buy Vol a little bit more time as he swashbuckles away. Monster not nearly as lucky as he is caught pushed back against the river. Rises here as well, immediately canceling the ultimate. Salacious Sea Lion still alive, but dies one last auto attack. As Vol's actually going to go for the Rolling Thunder. He's got swashbuckle, but there's no mana remaining on Monster, so it's not that much damage. And now Arrow dodge. He finds himself caught back inside the overgrowth. Again, no damage really for Pingu though to speak of, as Monster regaining a bit of mana. There's going to be another unstable concoction, as it's going to be now a 2 caught and speared back. 2 for none trade here, as the Happy Seals very happy to fight, but unhappy so far with the result. And by the way, that's Radiance finished by Rights. He finished that one a whole minute ago.
Very nice. And yeah, these double sustained support is really making life hell for the Sea Lions who don't really have any burst damage. You need to chop into people, throw the axes, get the bounces from the Pango going. And in that time, either the living armor comes out or the IO comes in, and they just don't have the damage right now. And it's so close too. It's gonna be so frustrating.
Yeah, and Soul's gone for this Kaya and Sanj build, right? Just even more sustain, more spell damage as well. So not only is he harder to kill, he's also pumping out significantly more damage. Wisp keeping him alive. Pingu as well, constantly burning you down. And of course, in case you haven't seen Radiance in a while, pardon, because it's really not been an item that's been in meta for ever since Wraith King, you know, was the last casual builder of it, and then everyone started going Armlet instead because it was better. And it did get slightly adjusted for some time now. The recipe slightly changed. Now it has a passive evasion talent as well as providing slightly less burn, so it's better once BKBs come out, is what that means. Volt is going to follow up here on the roar that Tip provides as the Arena Spear combo does lock down the Beastmaster. Monster as well still alive. Double King is going to turn this out to stone. The Radiance burning everyone down. The Rises losing a lot of his health. It's going to cause Flea to jump on over to him as there's the overgrowth into the stun for Vol here out from Soul. That'll put him down. Double King finds himself out of mana. He shut up to fight early, confident with the Manta Style, but it's not nearly enough sustain. He falls in the river as Alpha look for more. They find Tib, they slow him with the tether, and they pick up the kill, I believe, with the Radiance burn, plus 15 for Rises, as they'll get the team fight win and a tier 1 tower to boot. It's all coming together here.
Oh yeah, they again, the Happy Seals realize they don't have the damage. They say, fine, Manta Style's finished, we'll just bring in our Medusa, we'll get the extra damage that way. And Alpha says again, no, actually we just have enough sustain for you. As a beautiful overgrowth there as well. They don't have the disables left to actually stop him. Like, once the roar is spent and the arrow is spent, there are precious little options to do anything against that Trid. It's just walking in there. Everybody can see it.
Overgrowth. For Salacious Sea Lion.
Watch it come. Yeah.
Who dares go on a warding mission. Caught by the creep wave and killed. Oh, they're going to try and set up, though. That's a TP now from the Mirana. Tib as well set up on the spot, but does not have the roar. It's only Flea. Arrow is going to be mistimed. Flea attempting to TP out now that there's no arrow, and he's free to go.
Whoops, indeed.
Nice play overall. And now the itemization for Riders, especially as he gets the Mud Golem camps, are just... It's starting to get ridiculous here for Alchemist. One fight, he shows up, he's got Radiance. Next fight, he shows up 3 minutes later, he's got Blink Dagger. Another 3 minutes, Kips, it's going to be a full BKB. It's getting out of hand here. The Seals, they have, at least in that last fight, they had the tools, I think, to potentially turn that into a team fight win. There's a Vessel on Mirana. but they were going about that the wrong way. I think they need to find a pickoff, which granted is very hard versus a Wisp lineup. I will, you know, that's important to bring up, and not to mention, of course, the living armor buff. But they need to get those vessel charges if there's any hope of fighting into this Alchemist early. Now that BKB is going to be online, I don't know how it's going to be done, to be honest.
I don't know either. I don't see a scenario where even if they focus fire super hard right now, where they actually find that opening kill, like, you're going to have to catch the Treant out somewhere. Because the IO is never going to be without the Leshrac, and the Leshrac is just going to kill you.
Yeah, it's starting to look rather difficult.
No doubt about it.
What's on the way here for the Beastmaster? It is, this time it's Helm of the Overlord. I did
It is
check.
the Dom this time, yes.
Yep. Upgraded Dom, not going for the Great Pact. Oh, in the river. They've caught the Mirana. That might be enough of an opening, to be honest, to just do Roche. They were just looking for any pickoff, and not having a Moonlight Shadow available might be the one. But in trouble is Pingu. That's some serious damage there. They're going to try and nuke him down. And now Salacious Sea Lion is letting it go. They've not canceled the ulti. Finally, they've gotten her to stop letting rain down the icicles, but still it's Alpha who pick off 3. They can't cancel the Rolling Thunder, but Pango can't do much either to stop Alpha from heading straight on into the Roche pit after picking off 3 heroes in exchange for the tree, who didn't even use the ulti.
Yeah, and that is the Rolling Thunder, like the Roche fighting tool, now gone. I don't think they can contest this anymore.
It was with an
Sure, you
arcane,
can toss an arrow.
so it'll be back up in 20 seconds. Potentially they can still make a go at this. It'll be quite soon, but there's no roar for an additional 20 after that. Oh, and rises in with BKB Blink. He's going to go straight for full. A nice Stone Gaze over from Double King will slow this down, but the stuns from the low ground still will be sufficient. The lockdown is there. That's a kill onto Pango. And Happy Seals are just hemorrhaging heroes at the moment. A great relocate save now, as Soul is going to cover the retreat of the Wisp. Rises will end up stunning himself, but there's just not enough control here. They've been staggering the kills here onto the Happy Seals, which makes them very unhappy when they're trying to fight around Roche.
They still have the Overgrowth in their pocket. They will have an arena in another couple seconds, because this entire thing just happened without the arena. But at the very least, the Alchemist, with his Chemical Rage running out, does not want to stay around the Roche pit just yet.
There's the nerf here is, it's not a nerf actually, it's a buff. 5 more seconds of a Chemical Rage is good. The downtime, yeah, it's not amazing, right? But much like a Sven, any you want duration increase. That gives you a wider window to fight in, basically.
And his uptime has not changed because of that.
Very good point. Yeah, just straight up a buff.
Yep.
Okay, and we're going to go back into Roche, even without... Oh, well, they do have Chemical Rage action. And even assisted there a little bit, as the arrow will find Roche. There's a Hawk now granting vision. It is being burnt to a crisp over. Oh, jump in by the Mirana. A good effort, well timed, but caught by all the stuns that Alpha has to offer. And it is going to be simply a kill there onto her.
And interesting, though, that the Aegis ends up on the IO.
Oh! Very interesting, actually. Yeah, maybe it was a panic.
It could have been a panic. However, I can see reasons to say that actually the IO is the most important here.
Yeah, I mean, as he charges in here, trying to find Tib, Flea, setting it up. Tib even canceling the TP, trying to avoid a spear, perhaps, but he's going to end up falling all the same. Over it towards the triangle, Salacious Sea Lion is being ran down by Pingu, who is giving a healthy amount of respect here to the Maiden. Not really running at her in case there's more heroes around. There is one extra hero around, but it's the Dusa who is going to TP away. Space created for Salacious Sea Lion, as there's a good frostbite.
Look at slows.
There's very good space. Pingu giving chase now, has another Nature's Grasp. There is no way Salacious Sea Lion makes it out of here, but again, good space. Essence Ring, now stronger than 2 melee creeps, but dies all the same. And this is important space, Kips, because Double King is going to maybe get the time to finish up the Scotty.
So important versus the sustain of the Alchemist, versus all of the sustain on this team, in fact.
Yeah.
He's only going to have 1 target with it as of yet, only level 16, no level 25 split shot modifier shenanigans here. But still, yeah, if you spread that love around a little bit, you're going to get a lot of utility out of it, and it will solve some of your damage problems for sure.
And it certainly gives you it gives you the opening that you need, right? Before you've been struggling with damage issues
Oh, boy.
because of the heals.
Talking about an opening.
Now it's not. And there's Vol who ends up dying. I did hear Unstable Concoction getting channeled. Didn't quite catch that one, but Vol is going to fall. And down bottom lane, it's going to be even Pingu, who is going to look to be aggressive here. They see Salacious Sea Lion. Of course, they want more than just a Maiden, so they're not going to reveal the presence of a ward. Why would you break a smoke and reveal a ward for a ranged creep, honestly? Is what they say. It's only 42 gold. Not worth it.
Yeah. She's gonna wonder what exactly happened right now.
Well, now she's gonna be scouted. Good damage on a Pingu, who's tanking the tower, and they're immediately gonna cancel that ultimate. Really before anything can be done. Unfortunately, a very tough game to try and channel anything here against all the casual stuns Atlas Seals have. Sorry,
and that
Alpha.
Maiden game, where you just empower your core to do all the heavy lifting for you, and you stand behind and cheer them on with your fancy little twirl.
Oh god.
They're running at you.
This animation is bonkers even, because I believe because Chemical Rage reduces your base attack time, bonus attack speed is like incredibly imba on you. Oh, not to mention a double damager in. There we go. That's what we need. Scotty who? Scotty what? I don't care about that. Even kills the hawk on the way out. Not the hawk, but a hawk.
Oh man, that was over before we had time to talk about it, frankly. And I think that's gonna leave the Happy Seals reeling a bit. They clearly need to be there before this Alchemist even reaches our buildings, because he touches them and they fall over.
You know, I think there's actually quite a bit of credence. Oh, Tibnock being stunned here maybe is an opening. Gets a roar off, but it's not really to counter-initiate. It's kind of just to run away. Fair enough. But then what's their opening? Flea, in fact, giving chase as he has the Aegis. He's not scared because he's got a second life.
Yeah.
Good Hawk stun catches the monster even after he blinks. Buying again more times. The axe damage beginning to stack up onto the Mars, but again, he's got really nothing to fear. Oh, that's a stun being channeled. Rises. He finds Vol, cancels the Rolling Thunder, and with the minus armor of the Acid Spray, has a kill. No overcharge needed. Just the simple AC getting the job done there from Rises.
Yeah, important to shut that down, because he was split pushing top while Twitch was also cutting mid.
Yeah, and he's bottom immediately after. The global presence a little bit too much to handle, as Double King trying his best here to cancel the reload. They've got 3 more seconds to get it done, and they have, but that's a Wisp with Aegis. Monster alone for this duration, though, but he's been given the living armor bonus, and he's got a BKB. Forced now to abandon his Wisp. He will TP away, as it's going to be Flea who dies twice through the Aegis. Bit too aggressive there out from Alpha after they've picked off the mid laner. Now they can potentially look Happy Seals for a bit
the army
more.
is going to march. This is Electrac. This is not
and
just
they're still in overgrowth. Double kick from behind. As going to be able to Manta head off. That's a kill already onto 1. They've also canceled as well the Freeze and Field Soul. Not buffed by much. Two-man army against the Medusa, trying to get in there. BKB is going to be Rises, so he doesn't care about this Rolling Thunder, as the BKB duration still lasting long enough, more than long enough, to burst through the Dusa. Salacious Sea Lion running for her life, running for his life here on the Maiden. But eventually Alpha will be forced to run back and hit structures. Even 4v4, they're easily able to win these fights. It's looking real rough now for Happy Seals.
Yeah, that was Electrac just flexing on them. It's like, oh, you spent all that time killing off a Wisp twice? Now you're gonna be approaching me?
Yeah, guys, that was my Wisp. I gave him 2 lives for a reason. I didn't need it.
Exactly. I'm pretty convinced that it was deliberate, actually.
Yeah, so am I.
How the fuck are you gonna kill?
Well, the reason I thought it was deliberate was on that high ground push. You put Rises and Flea on the high ground. Who are you gonna kill? You don't have the damage for an Elk or a Lesh, and maybe you kill a Wisp once, but then the rest of your team dies by the time he respawns from Aegis. Like, I do think it was quite deliberate. Quite a good move from Alpha. I think not many teams are going to end up doing that, but I think it's actually a really good move when you consider that late game, this actually doesn't look that good for you. Adusa still eventually could out-carry this game, but at the rate this one's going, I don't think it's going to quite get there.
No, she's a little bit behind, isn't she? I mean, she's got a crit now, it's very nice, but she has been forced out of the BKB build-up that she really wanted in order to actually grab that Chrysalis. And she also does not have buyback as a result. She's very poor.
That means
She's
she's got to
caught.
play
It's over.
super conservatively here as well, staying inside the base as Rises. Giving chase, will find Tib, and oof, even more damage now online with the Silver Edge fully completed for Rises, having that
Look at
casual
Go.
crit. He's going up to the high ground, he does not care. Oh, Salacious Sea Line, good force staff. Essence Ring trying to keep him alive, Rolling Thunder to cover. Rises will not pop the BKB. Monster will, but he's being held down now. A Salacious Sea Line is going to let it go here through the freezing field. Is going to be killed off first. Dusa stuck inside the arena of blood is going to be quickly burned of her mana and her life. Rises with 3 kills, looking for his second rampage of the series, is going to be denied by Monster, and that'll cause Double King to throw in the towel. The GG well played is called, and it's Alpha who take a convincing 2-0.
Very dominant, and not just like in the speed of the gold graph accelerating and stuff.